Imagine we've been asked to research on pressure sores in the elderly, so I'll type that in to the subject field, and you'll notice there is a tick by the suggest subject terms, which means when we click on search we won't get the result but merely a series of suggestions, and sure enough that's what we get. Now right at the top it says for pressure sores use pressure ulcer, so I'll select that, but I will have a look at the rest as well to see if there are any other likely ones. If we hadn't found any we would have selected the bottom one. Then we select search database to see what we get. Now we do get a result, and lo and behold we've received 9,661 results, way too many to go through, so I'll click edit, and then what I'll do is I will do four things. I'll click BCU local holdings, full text, and say the last 5 years. Now the BCU local holdings is because I only want to access those files that I'm allowed to see, and the last 5 years is because I want to keep it as current as possible. Then we click save, which is the same as saying update my search please, and the 9,000 odd has gone down to just under 2,500. Now I could edit again and bring down those years again, but instead what I'll do is I'll put in the other search term, which of course in this case was elderly. And again it's got some suggestions. It said for elderly use the phrase aged, so I will think rather than do that I'm going to click on aged hospitalised, because that's what I've got in the back of my mind for my research topic. Again search database and see how many I get for the second search, and you'll notice now we have a second search recorded called S2, over 2,500. Now I could go into edit there, but actually what I want is both searches combined, so I click on the little radio button and click on search with and. It's known as a Boolean operator. Now that will combine the two searches, and combined I now have 13 results, so that is certainly enough for me to look at. So I click on the view results and have a little look. What I get in all cases has a similar structure. I get the title of the article it's found, followed by the authors, and then hopefully, not always, but hopefully there'll be something like a PDF full text or HTML full text. Sometimes there won't be one, and then I might click on check Birmingham City University holdings to see if it's saved electronically by another means. Let's have a little look to see what one of these full text looks like. So if I click on one randomly, what I actually see, this is on my computer, is effectively a high quality photocopy of the actual paper. It's at this point I can read it to see if it's something that I might want to save or keep. It may indeed be that I reject it. If I want to keep it, I can then save it either to my memory stick or my computer, etc, etc. There are other things I could do to save, and it's worth bearing this in mind because you may not always have a memory stick with you or even be sat at your own computer. If I go back to the list of files that I found, notice that there is an icon next to each item found. It's like a little folder with a plus in. Now what this acts like your shopping basket that you might use when you're shopping online, and it goes into a sort of your own personal folder. By clicking on that next to those items that you think are worthy of further investigation, you're adding them, as it were, to your shopping basket. Don't worry, no payment really will take place, and at any time once you've done that, so I've selected just the three, you can go back to your shopping basket, your folder, click to see what you've selected. In this case I know I've selected 3, and now I can do things like save that, print it out, or indeed even email it to myself, where all the PDFs would appear as attachments. So I could say save, email it to myself or to my colleagues. Always best to put something in the subject line, because otherwise you're going to get an email from ephost and you won't know who they are, etc, etc. You might even put comments if you're sending it to colleagues, etc, and then if you were to click send, I won't on this occasion, that then would be sent to your email of choice. And there we've done it, our very first search. Of course, in reality, all searches may not be this smooth. Sometimes you might struggle with your keyword. Sometimes you still might have far too many. You have to plough through quite a few more, but it's a start.